Good afternoon and welcome to the JB Show. My name is James and I am here with my Fred Hampton Leftist co host, Nick. Nick, how are you doing today?
What's up, James? You already know I let to jump on, talk some shit
Yep,
with you guys, so this should be fun.
definitely. Definitely.
I'll tweet
First
this
off,
out. Oh, sorry, go ahead. I'm gonna tweet this out so we have some fun today, though.
cool. Hello, everybody in the chat. I'm going to get to everybody in the chat in just 1 second. One of the things that I want to do first is I want to make a statement based on what I said on the roundtable on Thursday. I'm going to be acknowledging that, and I just want you guys just to take a seat and just listen just for a second. So on Thursday on the roundtable, we were having a discussion about cancel culture, and the special from Dave Chappelle came up. I gave my thoughts on it and I gave my views on it. And to some people who are trans allies, as well as some people who are trans, they viewed what I said as somewhat problematic. Um, that was never my intention. That was never what I wanted to convey. I stand in solidarity with my trans comrades and stand in community with them. And for that, I am sorry if what I said was offensive to you in any way. Um, as far as defending Dave Chappelle, I'm be honest, that's not a hill I'm willing to die on. Everybody has uh, their their weak points and where they need to learn and grow. I definitely have my points where I need to learn and grow, and I invite any of my trans comrades to also help educate me more. We as Black people always talk about how if someone says something problematic or does something problematic, that people need to listen to us Black people when we tell people, "Hey, this is problematic. You guys should listen to us." It is no different with people who are trans. So in this space where I'm growing, yes, I am a gay man, but I do not understand what it's like to be trans. I don't. And but I do recognize that they're going through a human experience and they are, that we should all embrace each other's humanity. And that is what I want to do in learning more. Um, I stand against all types of oppression. And so anybody who's disenfranchised, I stand with. And I do apologize for the way I may have came off during what was said, and I just want to let you guys know that I love you, and my trans brothers and sisters, uh, trans brothers and sisters and siblings, I should say, are dear to me because yes, for me coming out the closet was difficult, but coming out as trans is huge. And it is a huge thing for you guys to do. And gosh, that takes a lot of guts and it takes a lot of fortitude to do. And so I just want to let you guys know that um, I do apologize. I'm not even going to defend what I said. If you guys want to know exactly what I said, you guys can go to to the round table and hear what I said. But uh, no point in defending it. It's not that I said anything inflammatory per se, but just me defending Dave Chappelle on this is something that's somewhat is problematic. So, I apologize about that, but um, I do love you all, and I'm here to learn, and I'm always welcome for you guys to communicate with me about this. So, thank you.
Yeah, I always take good faith criticism to heart.
Mhm.
a lot of you guys know and see me. I have fun with
Mhm.
people I see as deeply unserious, bad faith actors.
Mhm. Yeah.
But whenever I see a legitimate criticism, this is why you have seen us consistently respond this way, because we really do believe in growing a community instead of being
Mhm.
elitists who believe we are above criticism. You see this a lot with a lot of popular YouTube channels where they get criticism like, "Oh, fuck you, unsubscribe or leave, go away." Nah, that's not the culture that I'm trying to facilitate at FHL at Fred Hampton Leftists, because
Yeah.
we are growing a community with each other. So
Mhm.
my response when and once again, like I'm gonna say in general. I say in general. My response to when someone gets something wrong is to just have a conversation with them, see where their head is out. If their response to that is like "fuck you," I said what I said. Fuck that shit. I said I believe what I said. Like, that then you can respond with the
Mhm.
same attitude, right? But
Mhm.
when you come at it with a way like my brother James, this is why I'm glad to have him as at Fred Hampton Leftist. When you come at it this way, I don't know why people won't. Not only will they not would stay mad at that, I don't know why there's not a lesson to be learned there. Because I talk about this with Rome all the time. A lot of black leftists, especially like us that live in the Midwest, flyover states in the South, we live in very socially conservative families and culture due
Mhm.
to the black church influence. The
Mhm.
amount of like anti-gay bigotry, just for example, was rampant. I mean, we talked about that on the show before, and if you look at the '90s entertainment, you see it everywhere.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna let you guys know right now: if you have a black leftist comrade that come from the Midwest, I promise you, he had to evolve on some issues. And once again, I'm just speaking more general. No, I'm not talking about James in this particular stance here, but I'm telling you in general. And you've seen this with Rome, his old stances, and I already been open about stupid opinions I used to have because the way we've been socially conservative, our social conservative upbringing. But
Mhm.
I'm guarantee you, if you have a black leftist you like, and they live in the Midwest or the South, there's about an 80 to 90% chance they had a opinion, they laugh at the joke, they said a joke that would have pissed you off. And if you're not one to grow and have this as a learning moment, allow people to get better, and like truly understand the problem like James has done, then if you're not willing to do that, you're not really in community with us. And if you're not willing to do that with your neighbor, are you really in community with them? And when I was talking about cancel culture, my take on the Dave Chappelle matter, because for one, I didn't see the special, and for two, I'm a straight man, so I'm like, all right, I'm not going to speak on this issue. But I take it my response was like the whole idea of cancel culture is kind of a myth because there's just consequences for your actions. Cancel culture does not exist for the ruling class. It doesn't exist for people like Dave Chappelle. You're not getting canceled. The cancel culture is the police that are killing unarmed black people. That's what I see as cancel culture. Stephen Donziger, what's happened to him? That's cancel culture. Julian Assange, what's happened to him? That's cancel culture.
Mhm.
The eviction, which is a violent act by the state, to me, that's way much of a significant problem in cancel culture. But do you see the ruling class talk about that in a negative sense, like they do cancel culture?
Yeah.
That's why I don't buy it. And
Yeah.
I think as the left position to fight back against that. So my main point is we gotta just grow and get better, and we gotta facilitate that, and that's what we're gonna do at Random Leftists. And I said early on, we are going to be a YouTube channel unlike anyone have ever seen. Like we're not gonna have egos involved and these kind of things, and we're not gonna engage in the unnecessary drama. I'd rather turn any situation to a learning opportunity. But I'll pass it to you, James. I went long enough, but I think
Mhm.
once again, I'm glad that you addressed it, and um, once again, we just want to create a space where people can learn and grow
Mhm.
from any take, really. But go ahead, James.
Mhm. Yeah. And I just want to say thank you to the people who were kind enough to let me know where I went wrong and to correct me on different things. And so this is how we learn. And this is one of the reasons why we at FHL are successful because we listen to you and because you guys are brilliant and you guys let us know where we may go wrong and when we go right. So I appreciate that. Now to the story that I wanted to cover. Um, this was something that I saw. Look, I saw this tweet and I was just like, "Are you kidding me right now?" Um, and I'm going to give you guys the tweet first, and then I'll give you guys the article afterwards. I just want to make sure I set everything up correctly. Okay, so also, by the way, I'm seeing your comments. Thank you so much. Um, Skeptical Mantis, just to let you know, we are aware of the national strike in Colombia and what's going on in Colombia. We stand in solidarity with all the workers there, of course. And looking at successes and failures, that was a wildcat strike, which is amazing. And I think we should talk about that when we have the General Strike Summit. So definitely, we will be, you know, looking at things like that. So stay tuned for the General Strike Summit in October. I'm sorry, November 12th to the 14th. Yeah, 12th to the 14th. So we'll be talking about things like that too. So thank you very much for that comment. And hey, everybody. Um, it's so good to see everybody. Sorry, I had to go through that whole. I had to address that, and so that's why I didn't get to say hellos to everybody. But I see you all in the chat, and you all are wonderful, beautiful human beings. Um, but yeah, to this tweet. This is from Ken Armstrong on Twitter. He talks about this article, and he kind of gives like a bit of a summary. And he says 3 police officers were sent to an elementary school in Tennessee and arrested 4 black girls. One girl fell to her knees, another threw up. Police handcuffed the youngest, an 8-year-old with pigtails. Their supposed crime: watching some boys fight and not stopping them. And just off that, what is your reaction to that, Nick?
Sorry, I think my stream cut out a little bit, but I'm gonna read the tweet here. I missed a little bit what you said there, but 3 police officers went to an elementary school in Tennessee, arrested 4 black girls. One fell to her knees, another threw up. Police handcuffed the youngest. So they handcuffed an 8-year-old. They're crying watching some boys fight and not stopping them. Um, this is
Hmm.
just another example of, you see the prevalence of police in schools.
Hmm.
That's the police
Yeah.
state training kids at a very young age to get used to this pervasive authority that
Hmm.
have the right to like brutalize you. They can end your life. They can
Yeah.
seize your assets through civil asset forfeiture, and there's
Hmm.
no accountability. And
Hmm.
that's why anyone who have this belief that we should have
Hmm.
police officers in school, which is something that is a bipartisan belief. I seen it happens a lot in our school. There was a case in Florida, and I bring this up all the time. I brought this up when I wrote my op-ed, where
Hmm.
you have police in the schools that there was a school shooting, and the police didn't do anything to stop the shooting. In fact, they ran. They ran from the scene. So they was sued, and there was a lawsuit,
Hmm.
and the Supreme Court set a precedent that the cops have no legal obligation to protect you. They ruled on the side of police. So that precedent, I bring this up all the time, how their legal precedent, how they said, well, the police don't have to protect you. That came from the fact that police in schools abandoned the children during a shooting. So if the police are not there to protect the children during a school shooting, why are they there? Why are they there?
Why are they
To
there?
put young black people and other people of color through the criminal justice system at a young age. That's what it's about. And I didn't know the story until JB just pulled it up here, but this is just another example why I once again I wrote a giant op-ed against the police state, and I mentioned
Hmm.
this in particular, the prison industrial complex infiltrating our school systems. And they're not doing it to the white community either, because there's been extensive research that shows when you have white girls who do the same exact act of disobedience as a black girl, but they will just get a small disciplinary action while the black girl will get arrested. And there have been studies highlighting the same behavior over and over again. So we live in a racist police system that has infiltrated all aspects of our society, including our education system. And I have no idea why this is not a bigger issue. What's your thought,
Hmm.
JB?
Yeah, and so this goes into, and it's just not the police. So let me go to the actual article. I just shared it in the chat, everybody. Um, and I'll make sure to put it in the description as well
What
below.
I'm doing right now, because I read countless of these articles. I'm trying to
Hmm.
find a good one to show you guys what I'm talking about. Um, but I'll wait till after you get done showing this one. I think I found a good one. But sorry, go ahead, JB.
Okay. The subtitle says Judge Donna Scott Davenport oversees a juvenile justice system in Rutherford County, Tennessee, with a staggering history of jailing children. She said kids must face consequences which rarely seem to apply to her or other adults in charge. And this was by Miraba Knight, um, for Pope, and Ken Armstrong from ProPublica. Um, and it talks about how there were three different police officers. Two of the officers were black, one of them was white. One was against arresting the children. One said nothing, and then the white police officer was gung ho and adamant about getting the kids. Um, as you read this article, you discover that the police officer, the white police officer, was actually against even calling the parents of these children before arresting them. But because one of the children had diabetes, they because he was, he didn't he was okay with her getting her insulin shot before they arrested her. And so it's crazy because all this was because they watched a fight. And even then, in the video that was being taped of them watching the fight, one of the little girls, you can actually hear them telling them to stop. But what do you expect little girls to do when a couple boys are fighting? What do you expect them to do? Right? And how are you going to, so by that metric, right? Then there should be a ton of people across the United States that should be arrested just for watching people fight. Is that how we're going to operate things in this nation? Because they didn't necessarily jump in and stop the fighting. And then let's go even further. What if they actually jumped in to try to stop the fight and the police showed up over 11, 10, 9, 8 year olds fighting? What if they showed up? And then what if they thought that the girls were fighting? Then what? You see how this goes? And the thing is, the fight even wasn't even like what you think a fight is. A couple of jabs thrown at a boy, and that was it. And suddenly they want to arrest him over this. And part of the reason why is because of the judge, the, well, quote unquote judge. Um, so the judge, by the way, she failed the bar I think 5 times. Um, and the judge, look at the graph. Rutherford County locked up kids in almost half of cases. Rutherford County, 48%. The top 50 courts, Rutherford County has the most. They lock up so many different kids. And for what? Stuff that they shouldn't be locked up over. I don't even think I would. I mean, if my kid was watching a fight, I don't even think I'd probably have disciplined them over it. I probably wouldn't have, I probably would just had to talk to them about it. And yet, you're going to do this? We live in a country that is devoid of restorative justice, that they do not believe in restorative justice whatsoever. And these girls didn't even need restorative justice. They probably just should have just said, next time that happens, you run, get an adult, and that's it. That's all you had to talk to them about. And they're going this far. It's just frustrating. And then this school is three-quarters is black and Latino, you know? And so just like what Nick said, having, these resource officers, it's just cops in the classroom. That's all it really is. You know.
Yep, the prison industrial complex in our education system. And there are a lot of comments saying that how upsetting this article is. I was looking through it, and this is the kind of stuff you see while we have a lot of rage at this channel that you're not seeing in a lot of places. You guys should check out the video "Rome is Burning," and you guys see the anger that Rome had, and the anger that we all have, the anger you see from CJ, from me as well, because we have to live the reality of the situation. And there are a lot of people who don't understand. People always want to be like class reductionists or whatever. They still want to downplay the effect of race of this. But let me show you this real quick.
Sure.
To show you guys the two-tiered justice system that we live on here, that is dominated by not only just race but also class as well. You got the combination of both. The billionaire who raped 3-year-old daughter avoids prison time, but a poor black guy in Mississippi who had his phone in jail because the guards forgot to take it from him. So they charge him and get him 12 years in prison. And then the billionaire who raped the 3-year-old, they said, "Oh, we're not gonna give him prison time because he would not fare well behind bars." Tell me more about how we don't have institutionalized racism in this country. How our judicial system is not bought off by the billionaire and capitalist class. Go ahead and tell me more about that. And I think that ties perfectly well into the story. And I'm gonna toss it right back to you, JB. I'm glad that we have Awkward coming on. I'm gonna try to call him sometime before. Let him know that we're gonna have him on the JB show. But we're gonna have a conversation with him. He's perfect for this conversation. The only correction I do want to make, when I was talking about how the police don't have the constitutional duty to protect someone, I just gave you guys the wrong example. There was another legal case that came out of Florida that was regarding the schools. So this is the instance I was talking about when I said the police, they don't even have a legal duty to protect you. So the people that say, "Oh, we need giant police budgets in order so we can prevent crime," that's not even their legal job. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up, because the correction comes, because I actually do remember reading about the story. There was a woman who was a victim of a violent husband, pretty much, right? And she went through the court system. She was calling the police, like, "Yo, even though we have restraining orders upon this guy, he's still stalking me." I'm summing up in a nutshell the story here, just to correct the origins of this. So she let the police "Hey, police, this dude's about to fucking kill me. My husband's a psychopath. He's not listening to court orders. He don't care about what authority at all. You guys got to do something." And the cops, being the useless scumbags that they are, who don't prevent crime, they was like, "Nah, we good." I think he's not going to do that. And then the court ruled with the police are like, "Oh, well, let me look at it. Make sure." See, Jessica Gonzalez tried to get the Castle Rock police to find and arrest her estranged husband, Simon Gonzalez, who was under court order to stay 100 yards away from the house. He had taken the children, ages 7, 9, and 10, as they played outside, and he later called his wife to tell her he had the girls at the amusement park. I'm trying to sum up the long story, but pretty much she was trying to get police help against her deranged husband, and they didn't give a fuck. They didn't give a fuck. And then they took it to courts. Justice Stevens and Ginsburg, in their dissenting opinion, said it's clear that elimination of the police discretion was integral to the Colorado and fellow state solution to the problem of pretty much in long-winded fashion. They're pretty much saying, "Yo, the cops don't have to fucking they don't have a legal right to protect you, right?"
Mhm.
Meanwhile, people still believe that the justice system is designed to protect us, and that was the case that set the legal precedent for that. But I just want to clarify that. But go ahead, JB.
No, yeah. And so, you know, in accordance with this story from ProPublica, and I encourage you all to read it. It's a bit of a long read, but it goes down to the nitty gritty of what's really going on. The judge is this conservative wingnut who believes that she needs to correct the children of the country, you know, by her own, volition. She basically is like, oh, parents aren't raising their kids right, so I have to do it myself. It's like, no, you don't. A lot of times parents aren't able to raise their kids properly because a lot of parents have to work long ass hours, and because they don't make enough in a living wage so that they can be able to stay home long enough to be with their kids when they need to. So that's part of the reason. The other part of the reason is that we have a societal degradation because you have people who are pushing this sociopathic narrative that we shouldn't care as much about each other as we should. And so then you'll get the, oh, boys will be boys or kids will be kids and blah blah blah, and kids get bullied and kids get cyberbullied and things like that because they don't have, their parents there to, you know, guide them in the right way because a lot of times their parents are being wage slaves into the capitalist system. So it's all one big cycle. And then on top of that, you got the police going off and acting like they're sheriffs and fucking gun smoke and schools, and then trying to lay down the law when kids are, trying to get an education, and they are largely in black and brown schools because they're viewed as animals and not as viewed as humans. So, yeah, of course, they're being treated this way. And so you got judges like her who were appointed, um, and even the person that appointed her to that position said he doesn't even remember why he put her there. Thanks, Sam Jacobson, for the $20 super chat. Appreciate it so much. Love you back. I appreciate it. But yeah, this person didn't even know why they put them in there. So it's like, you mean to tell me that years ago you appointed this person to be a judge over juvenile court and you don't remember why? That means that you just wanted to throw somebody in there. Like, what? So this whole mishigas of of trying to basically put black and brown kids in line, that's basically all it is. Let them know who's boss, you know. And as far as the white supremacist institution is concerned, it's sick and it's disgusting. Um, and so I'm just, I'm tired of seeing this, and this is one of the reasons why people like you, Nick, people like Awkward, are so I'm trying to find the right word. Gosh, my brain is slipping. You guys are so important for this movement, this discussion, because the remedies of the 10 demands is so imperative that it literally means not just the life, but the mental health. Like, I'm thinking about those little girls' mental health right now. Like, they're traumatized now. For the rest of their life, they're going to be traumatized because they got arrested for something that was minuscule, that didn't deserve even a reprimand. Yeah, Quaker Socialist. Thank you. Integral. I'm sorry. My brain just melt it. Maybe I need to take a puff of whatever Nick has and whatever. Uh, but yeah, um, that probably would help me remember a little bit better. Um, yeah, Robin, when there are children, there should be laughter, and I agree. And
Hey,
it was a teachable moment, but that was as far as it should have went.
JB, I have one last receipt. Sorry, I was saying something awkward.
No, please do, please do.
I have one last receipt that relates to the last story that I was looking for while you was gracefully presenting that last bit of information. So let me show you guys this. This is what I'm referring to. And this is what me and Awkward at Tender Man, this is what we highlight all the time. And this is what I cover extensively when I make the argument about getting cops out of the schools.
Hmm.
So, nationally, black students are more than twice as likely as their white classmates to be referred to law enforcement. Black students are 3 times as likely to be arrested as their white classmates. In some states, black girls are over 8 times more likely to be arrested as white girls.
Hmm.
During the 2015-2016 school year, 1.6 million students attend a school with a sworn law enforcement officer and no counselor. Look at our society. 1.6 million students attend school with a police officer, but no counselor. Don't give a fuck about mental health. It's all about introducing the kids to the police state early and often and getting them used to this prevalent system. That's why people don't even ask these questions. We ask questions about how our law enforcement system works. Like we put the onus on these people to explain how this shit is garbage and it doesn't work. People don't even think about this shit because they've been brainwashed and institutionalized by the system from day one.
Yeah.
So don't even think about the fact that there's never been a society that operated the way we have with our police. Name one. This new system of policing we have is new. This is new, and this was born under neoliberal capitalist order
Hmm.
after the Industrial Revolution. I covered this in my article as well. The police always have racist roots. That's where they come from. The slave patrols. They
Hmm.
instituted the black codes that coordinated with white supremacists to lynch black Americans. But then when you had giant capitalism take over, the Industrial Revolution, they became servants to the capitalist state.
Hmm.
And people are so institutionalized, they don't even understand that. I just told you guys they don't have any constitutional duty to protect you. They solve less than 2% of violent crimes.
Hmm. Yeah. And police in schools is pure indoctrination. That's what it is. And people need to realize that it's indoctrinating your kids to make them think that they deserve to be uh, in a police nanny state, that they deserve to have police looking over their shoulder at all times. It makes these kids, largely black and brown, think that they're no good and they'll never be any good, and they don't deserve autonomy, as free thinking citizens, because they inherently have something bad, about them. That's what this basically teaches them. And I grew up with resource officers in my school all the time. Like hell, how many of you remember having a police officer come in and teach you classes during the DARE program? And
The
sometimes they'll
DARE
even,
program is trash. But sorry, go
yeah.
ahead, JB. It was trash.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and you had that police officer coming in around a bunch of 6, 7 year olds with a puppet talking about, you know, uh, you know, people who may smoke weed, which is probably most, a large majority of us, we knew somebody who did, and making us think that person is bad or evil, or someone who's awful. And then, you know, constantly, like, if kids get into a fight, then they get arrested inside the school. And, you know, it's like, no, you have to believe in restorative justice. Why are you arresting them? Because guess what? How many fights happen in white schools and they don't get arrested? They'll get split up, put into the office. They may get suspension, something like that. But that's as far as it goes. Um. So yeah, I just and people are like, well, these kids need to learn, and it's like, yeah, they can learn. All you gotta do is talk to them. We're not animals. We're not. That's the thing that people need to get through their heads. We're not animals. Stop sending zookeepers into schools to watch after kids. Stop. No, we're human beings, and the fact that I actually have to say that is sad because I'm still just like flabbergasted. I'm still looking at this. Donna Scott Davenport is the only elected juvenile court judge in the country that has ever had overseeing the courts, oversees the juvenile jail, and directed police on what she called our process for arresting children. Um, it says in the deposition, a lawyer asked Judge Davenport about taking the bar exam. In her 9 years and five attempts to pass, and then after 3 years of getting her law license, she was put on the bench as a judge. Only after 3 years of being a lawyer, an attorney, she was put on the bench as a judge. What the hell? Are you kidding me? And so, um, even reading the story, the principal's heart was broken because she did not want to see those kids get arrested. And she was crying. And she was even trying to stop the police from doing it by talking to them. But then she was afraid of the police because she was afraid she was going to get arrested for interfering. That's not criminal justice. That's not justice. That's fear. My God. Uh let's see. Thanks OZ LaFave for the super chat. FHL is great work and excellent support from all our brothers and sisters. Thanks to James and Nick. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Um,
I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. Once again, we just want to have a space where we can grow and it's not about ego over here, it's just all of us going through this crazy late stage capitalist state and learning how to survive it, how to build and grow community with each other. So thank you guys.
mhm.
Um, Whenever you're ready, I do want to start this dialogue. I think it's connects to the story because I think we did a pretty good job dissecting why people who are for giant police budgets, people are for police in schools, people who actually believe our criminal justice system works for Black lives,
Mhm.
why they're deeply unserious. Before I get into that, do you got anything you want to add, JB? Because I got a dialogue I want to introduce.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Go ahead.
You got anything else? All right, cool. Let me introduce this because we just talked about the police, and this have been circulating on Twitter for a few days, and I was wondering if I was going to cover it or not. At the end of the day, as you guys see,
Oh
I decided
Lord.
I'm going to cover it because it's about the issues and not really about drama, it's about the issues. Because this makes my point in so many different ways. Thank you, Morgan Freeman, because I have been rallying against the Hollywood black celebrity capitalist shit lip class for a very, very long time. And their role has always been to keep the Overton window to the right and to apologize for the white supremacy of the Democratic Party. I repeat to you, the role of black celebrity shit libs in my lifetime has been to apologize for the white supremacy of the Democratic Party. Why do you think you had Diddy doing vote or die campaigns for fucking the Democratic Party and Hillary Clinton and them? You got Jay-Z, Beyonce fucking doing concerts for Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, who are war criminals. These people, these celebrities are class loyal first and black second. So thank you, Morgan Freeman, for once again making my point.
Mhm.
Because Morgan Freeman said rejects defunding the police. Morgan Freeman says most of them are doing their job. What job, Morgan? Explain to me in great detail what is their job, what is their role. Morgan Freeman know what their job is. They know what their role is.
Rich man says what?
Eddie, I'm gonna get with JB. What's your thoughts before I continue? Before I go on, before I roast this man.
Of course he wants to keep the police because he's rich, he's wealthy, he got money. So that's pretty much their job is to protect capital, to protect property. So of course he's like that. And so he doesn't see the dichotomy between how police treat black people. I bet you this. Take Morgan Freeman's fame and his money out of the equation. And the police didn't know but just saw a black man, guess what? He'd be subject to the same things that you and I are subject to. The only reason why he's not is because he's Morgan Freeman. That's it. But he doesn't think about that. And I mean, so here's the thing. People like him, they he's been indoctrinated. To him, Andy Griffith is still cool. He's down with Barney Fife. So it's like, okay, cool. They're the good cops, not realizing that people like Andy Griffith is based on a white supremacist institution to keep black people in line. Never mind, there was no black people in Mayberry, by the way. And yes, I'm showing my age. Yes, I know the Andrew Griffin show, and yes, I used to watch it. That and Beverly Hillbillies. Yes, I'm not that young. See, I got grays. Um, but yeah, their job is just to protect the rich, and
So,
he's part of that.
someone reminded me of when, and this doesn't surprise me at all because I don't. I told you guys multiple times I don't put celebrities on pedestals, and people who do, you guys need to stop doing that shit. These people are out of touch, rich. Mostly, like a lot of them are pampered. They get in their position because they had like acting coaches. Like they never lived the same life we have. And you guys remember the right wingers that always use this Morgan Freeman quote against black activists when Morgan Freeman was like, "Yo, if you want to end race, all we gotta do is stop talking about race." Like that's extremely profound. And there are a lot of right wingers who still use that quote to this day. They're like, yeah, see, Morgan Freeman said
Oh,
you guys need to stop talking about race. See, you see the
yeah.
disconnect there? The disconnect, the actual belief that we can understand how we can build a society that's good for all without actually talking about the crimes of our society, about how the police literally steals more wealth from the black community than the criminals do. How you have Wall Street illegally foreclosed on our homes. These are facts of the crimes done against not only our community, but the indigenous communities, the crimes done against them, the crimes done against the Latino community, the crimes our empire committed on people over and over again. They trivialize, oh, you just want to talk about race, bro. Even though I talk about like, bro, the Wall Street tanked our wealth, how Barack Obama teamed with the government to do that. You talk about how the government treats Haitian people, and oh, you can't talk about that. This is the disconnect. And what you and the point you made, JB, about Morgan Freeman being propagandized is so on point because we just covered so many different ways how our police failed us. They don't solve any crimes. Once again, their only job is to impose regressive fines and fees on the working class in forms of ticket, fines, fees. And then whenever they do investigate people, they take a massive amount of wealth. That's why they steal larger percent of our wealth through civil asset forfeiture. But if you look at all this information, he still said, well, the police are just doing their job. We see over and over again the police forcibly evicting homeless people from beaches. They breaking up protests. They are illegally not bombing. They illegally tear gassing protesters, which actually caused some female protesters to miscarriage. They were shooting steel encoded bullets at protesters that caused protesters to lose eyes. Some people have broken bones, like because of what the police was doing to us. But the Hollywood shit-lived celebrity black class, they see that like at the Met Gala where AOC was doing her dress stunt. My criticism that I gave on the Jimmy Dore show was like, bro, I don't give a fuck about the dress or any of that shit. But look at the optics. AOC was doing that while the cops was busting the heads of indigenous and black activists outside. How do people not see what's going on? And he is complicit with this. The cops are just doing their job. Yeah, they are doing their job. They're protecting the rich. They're protecting the oligarchy from the working class, and this is why they are continuing to increase the police budgets. They're increasing the police budget because they know poverty is going up, and the concentration of wealth is getting to an enormous extreme. I got a story on that, but I'll pass you, JB. You got anything you want to add? Because
Yes,
there's so much to talk about regarding this.
yeah. In response to when Morgan Freeman says the police were just doing their jobs,
Look at
that's
that.
the problem.
Look what Savvy said. That's
Yeah,
a great
Morgan.
point.
Yeah, and it's like, what in the coonery? Like, what the hell?
Morgan Freeman said we shouldn't have Black history.
The coonery of it all. Um, and,
Jesus fuck,
and look, that's the problem. The police were just doing their jobs. That's why we're mad. Because the thing is, they're doing their jobs. Their ultimate directive was to be slave catchers back in the day. What makes you think that hasn't changed? What in the last year and a half has made you think that that hasn't changed? It has not changed. Therefore, this is one of the reasons why all these descendants of, all these descendants, including some people who are descendants of the slave masters, are coming out and saying, yeah, no, we don't want this anymore. This is one of the reasons why the polls for defund the police have actually went up. Right, Nick? You talk about the polls of defund the
Yeah,
police.
I'm actually gonna show that. I'm gonna show you guys some
Oh,
receipts
thank
here
you.
very soon. But go ahead, JB. I got something to show you guys that highlights how ridiculous Morgan Freeman is. And
Mhm.
he's not the only one. There was other Black celebrities that came out against defund. But finish your thought, JB, and I'll show you. I'll pull up the receipts here soon.
Yeah, and so this is, one of the reasons why we talk about defunding the police so much is because their basis, their foundation on which they were built was oppression. So therefore, they do not deserve to be in existence as we know it anymore. And so this is why, like, I forgot who said it. Was it you? I can't remember. But you were talking about, somebody was talking about, like, neighborhood watch groups. They do so much better than even police do. You know?
Yeah, that's
Uh,
always, and the thing is, there's always been a history of community defense, community self defenses, different neighborhood watch programs, and what we have right now always been deeply unserious.
mhm,
And to highlight, this is what I'm gonna show you guys this receipt to show you guys the divide. If you guys think I'm being too dramatic when I'm calling
mhm,
out the Black neoliberal capitalist class, I'm not. When I
mhm,
talk about these divides, I'm gonna show you guys this here real quick.
mhm,
That's the Morgan Freeman story. This is my tweet addressing this because I've been on Twitter for like a few days, so I came back with my thoughts on this story.
mhm,
And while I said, why are people surprised that Morgan Freeman even against defund the police? He's rich as fuck. These Black celebrity millionaires are class loyal first, Black second. That's what I was saying
mhm,
a little bit earlier before. This is
mhm,
what I was saying all the time. Stop putting celebrities on the pedestal. Celebrity culture makes my skin crawl so much. I don't even get me started. Then I say the police exist to protect private property. No shock that rich Black shit lives are in support of our police state, despite the fact that most Black people always supported defunding the police. The disconnect
mhm,
is real, and it's on purpose. They don't care about you.
mhm.
And the Black, and I see it all the time. The Black people who think people like Tyler Perry, like uh,
Oh gosh, don't get me started on
people
him.
like Morgan Freeman. If you think these people give a fuck about you, you are beyond delusional.
Mhm,
You are beyond delusional. But
mhm,
anyway, this is the reason why I pulled this up, right? Because if you think I'm being too harsh, why is there this disconnect between the Black capitalist class and what actually the reality of Black America? And also pay attention to how the media reported the story. They
mhm,
never say that the defund the police movement is led by Black activists, which it is,
mhm,
as shown by the numbers. They say, and this is something that repeated by Al Sharpton on MSNBC, where he said there was white socialists, white privileged socialists that are hijacking this movement. That showed that Al Sharpton is complicit in the propaganda of a white
mhm,
supremacist state, because that's never been true.
mhm,
Even when defund the police was at its most unpopular, it was supported by vast majority of Black voters. So let me show you guys this. 63% of Black voters support distributing portions of the police funds to social programs. What does that sound like to you? 63%. while only 35% of white voters do. Most white voters surveyed support fully funding the police because they know they benefit. 65% say police budget should remain the same, compared with 37% of black voters. And what's very interesting, and when I did my research on this right my op-ed, if you dive into those numbers anymore, you want to know why that 37% of black voters even exist? The boomers, the black boomers. That literally, that very small number of black people who actually do support giant police budgets, those are the wealthy boomer capitalist class and their children and their relatives. And then the very small amount of working class black people who got caught in the sauce of the propaganda. But numbers show from day one, vast majority of black people always supported this idea. Black activists always been on the side of defund police, but we have been undercut by Barack Obama, who came out against defund police. Do you guys remember that? Remember when Barack Obama came out hiding and he was like, "Oh, we shouldn't be having defund police." Then he got his ass shredded. He got his ass shredded when he did that. So we have the black capitalist class going against our movement. And how is this not a giant problem? This is a problem you only see covered on Fred Hampton Leftists, on the black media website, because you have some popular white YouTubers, like Chris Ball, for example, who say, "Oh, defund the police was, oh, this slogan is tough." You know what I mean? Fuck that. We need to make the argument for our community. Stop letting these capitalists fucking gaslight us into not demanding more. JB, what's your
Hmm.
thoughts?
Yeah, remember what Fred Hampton said? He said, "We're not going to fight capitalism with black capitalism, but we're going to fight capitalism with socialism."
Fred Hampton said we got to fight the pigs. Like, don't you dare invoke Fred Hampton to me or to anyone. If you're in favor of giant police budgets, Fred Hampton said over and over again, we got to fight the fucking pigs. There's so
Hmm.
many black shit libs who want to claim Fred Hampton because they seen a movie. I still haven't seen the movie. I didn't need that fucking movie. I still haven't seen it.
Hmm.
But there's so many people that seen the Judas Messiah movie. Now they're like, "Oh my god, Fred Hampton. He's a black leader." But then you ask them, "Do you support defund the police?" No, no, that's crazy. No, Fred Hampton said, "Fuck the feds, fuck the pigs. They killed them for a reason." Fred
Hmm.
Hampton left this. Go ahead,
Hmm.
JB.
Yeah.
Awesome sauce.
Yeah, and so this whole, it's basically black royalty, right? And this is, a lot of the black people who are, um, a lot of black people who are famous. They feel like because they made it, that anybody else can, while not realizing that they are the exception, not the rule.
Hey JB,
And what's up?
that's such a great point. We don't have to break it down now, but I saw someone sent me this. This is great. We don't have to break down now because I don't want to interrupt you for too long. But what you
Hmm.
just said literally just highlights this article's point. The decadent Ville, Black America's wealth illusion. And W.B. Du Bois actually wrote about this as well. And this talks about exactly what you're talking about right now.
Hmm.
And this is what the black wealth is complicit with. But anyway, so I pass it to you. This is something I gotta break down later. I'm gonna
Yeah.
bookmark this, but this is exactly what you were saying. But go ahead, JB.
No, yeah, and that actually kind of that definitely goes in line with what uh these same wealthy black people, that basically they're told, well, you're wealthy, so you need the police. So you guys, if not, then the poors are gonna come knocking at your door too. I mean, I know you got out of the hood, so you don't want them to come to you, do you? That's the thinking. And it's always the thinking of, we got to get out of the hood, rather than we need to transform the hood. Like, look, every single every single hood movie that you've ever watched, right? Whether it was um Do the Right Thing, Boys in the Hood, whether it was Friday, whatever. You always have these people talk about, oh man, we gotta make it, we gotta get out of the hood, instead of actually transforming the hood. And how you transform the hood? Well,
That's a great
cap
point.
capitalism has to be, eradicated in order for that to happen. But the thing is, it's never about transforming the hood. It's always about getting out of it. It's always about leaving those people behind, instead of changing their lives so that they won't ever have to be those people.
You see
What?
this great you see this great comment by Deborah Logan. That's a
Mhm.
great comment. Black excellence is used to hide black suffering.
I see you, Deborah. I see you.
That's a
Thank
powerful
you.
ass. That's a powerful ass comment, Deborah. Because
Thank you.
once again, this is something I covered as well. People, I'll pass right back to you, JB. But people always use, oh, look at all these black millionaires. We got all these black millionaires. So this is evidence that capitalism in our country is working great for black people. You guys know,
It's so stupid.
you guys, he's so stupid. You guys know that income and wealth inequality right now is worse than it was in the height of the civil rights era. Boom. But meanwhile, if you look at if you look at all our black millionaires and you look at how the news cover it, they'll be like, oh, there's black prosperity. No, it's not. We are just as imprisoned. We are just as victimized by this system as we was back then. That's why our wealth continued to tank. They just substituted the Jim Crow system with the new Jim Crow system. But
Of
anyway, what's
course.
your thought, JB? That was
No,
a
yeah,
powerful
yeah.
comment.
No, yeah, you hit the point right on the head. It's basically a new Jim Crow classes system. Their job is to bring the black community further to the right. That's what Obama was for. Obama was a tool to use to make black people shift further to the right. Because, of course, black people largely were further to the left, especially on social issues. And they had to try to bring up, like for instance, now people don't attack me for this. Please don't come into the comments and attack me. But I've never seen the show, but just the title of it makes me think something. Power. What is that about? Is it about actually uplifting the community? No. Uh, I can pretty much tell you that it's probably not. And look at all these. We're constantly being indoctrinated, about you know black people suddenly making it. Hell, let's look at Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I'm sorry, but we're gonna get into it, right? Dude
It
from
was
the hood,
coordinated.
yeah,
Remember, finally got a piece of
of
the
the
pie.
pie,
They want people to think
yeah,
this is happening, but it's not.
yeah, yeah.
It wasn't happening, bro.
Fish
And
don't
that's
fry in the kitchen, and beans don't burn. No, sorry, I'm not gonna get us demonetized.
so that's actually
But
smart. That,
but yeah,
go ahead, JB, go ahead. I finish your point.
no, because no, you're touching on a really great point. Look at the Jeffersons, right?
The Cosby Show as well.
The Cosby Show, and so it's
Now I
all
think
that.
about it, like, I remember their shows was praised back in the day. They were like, "Yo, we finally got shows that show black prosperity." But in hindsight, because we know how CIA has infiltrated Hollywood, let's use some critical thinking for a second here. If we know for a goddamn fact that the CIA infiltrated Hollywood, and all of a sudden we got these black prosperity shows that start popping up as the prison industrial complex ramps up, as income inequality gets worse, doesn't that seem kind of coordinated? We putting that question out there at Fred Hampton Leftists. We putting this question out there because you just now triggered this thought to me, JB. Is that coordinated? The illusion of black prosperity that was presented by the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, the Bill Cosby show. I think that was Jefferson's show that finally got a piece of the pie, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Damn, that's
hell,
good though. Like if you think about, like, God damn, I told you people they were good at propaganda. Like if you think about it, that would be insane propaganda. Because now black people are like, yo, this shit is working for us. Meanwhile, white people are stealing our wealth. They are selling the same plant and making millions of dollars while our people are in prison off of it.
mm-hmm.
I'm talking about marijuana. Just to show you guys what's going on. I got another income inequality story I want to highlight. Actually, I'll bring it on right now. I think it's a good transition. I get your thoughts, JB.
Why not?
Because if you got once again, if you think I'm being too dramatic, I got receipts. Look at this from October 8th. So this 2 days ago. Luckily, they let me in this article here. The top 1% of U.S. earners, quote unquote. That's subtle propaganda, by the way. I see this shit. Like, even that is subtle propaganda. Earning what? You are exploiting labor. You see that? It's the small shit that pisses me off. Anyway, the top 1% of U.S. earners now hold more wealth than all of the middle class. finally got a piece of the pie. Right? God damn, that's good. That's some good CIA shit. Now that I
Eh,
think about it. God
yeah,
damn. JB,
yeah,
thank you. I literally didn't even think about that until you brought that up. But what's your
yeah.
thought, JB?
No, because you want to know what the crazy part is? That shit just started coming into my mind as soon as I started thinking about it. And now we're like, for instance, how many shows with black people are there now these days with shows that have black people that are actually living in poverty? Because the last one I remember was a show called Good Times, and that was back in the 70s. After that, black prosperity, black prosperity. They started off with different strokes. Two black boys from the hood move in with a bunch of white people, and next thing you know, they're rich, right? You had Silver Spoons, with Ricky Schroeder and Alfonso Ribeiro. Alfonso Ribeiro was the kid that lived next door, and then next thing you know, you got a different world. Black kids in college, they're moving on up, and suddenly they're doing better, right? Everybody was proud of Dwayne Wayne when he married Whitley, and then he started becoming a teacher at the college in the undergrad. I'm bringing it back. Okay, I'm bringing it back. And then next thing you know, you start seeing how look at Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Look at uh uh what's it called? Not Modern Family. I mean Blackish. They are not poor in that show. And so it's always that, oh, we don't want to, black people to be portrayed as poor. No, we don't want them to be portrayed as poor as well. But we don't want them portrayed as poor, especially in real life. We're tired of it. And so we won't have to worry about that if we actually transform and uh, improve the material conditions of everybody. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And so these shows are representative of basically saying to us, well, all you got to do is just follow the capitalist narrative, and you can be just like this dude on Blackish, or you can be just like these people on Fresh Prince of Bel Air. As long as you just follow the capitalist narrative, you can do that.
You brought up Fresh Prince of Bel Air, and you triggered a memory in me. I
Uh
forgot
oh.
about the story. Cause we roasted Morgan Freeman.
Hmm.
We got to roast Will Smith too, and I just now remember this, and I'm glad that I remember it because it's also going to the theme. What are we talking about? We talking about the black celebrity disconnect and how they're complicit with the white supremacist systems. Look what Will Smith said. I didn't even get a chance to cover this, but this came out this September. Will Smith wants you to stop saying defund the police because then people who will help you won't.
Oh my god.
These people have
Oh.
fucking worms in their brains. But once again, it's how surprising is it that he has this opinion? Why did Morgan Freeman have the opinion that he had? The same reason Will Smith did, because they're rich as fuck. They're
Hmm.
rich as fuck. That does not make sense at face value. Do you want to, JB? Do you want to try to wrap your head around this? Will Smith says he wants you to stop saying defund the police because if you say defund the police, the people who will help you won't.
Will, bruh, they don't help us at all anyway. What the hell? It doesn't make sense. Look, I calm down, JB. Everybody has a narrative. Even in entertainment, it's a running joke that when you call the police, they don't do shit. Hell, even your co-star in Bad Boys, Martin Lawrence, did a skit about that in his own show because it's true. Why are you forgetting where you came from? You're from West Philly, where my family's from. My family's from West Philly. And guess what? Same shit. They do not give a fuck about you. And so
Bro,
you're saying that they'll help you. You, Will Smith? Of course. They will help you. Of course. They got your back because you're rich, you're wealthy. You're back. He's like 20 years ago, you were commanding $20 million a film. Yeah, but us? No, they don't care about us. So if we defund them, what's really going to change? The only thing that's going to change is our material conditions will get better. But as far as the police, if we defund them, what are they going to be doing differently than they did before? Nothing. Absolute, absolutely nothing. Huh. So that's basically what it is all about.
Bro. And
I mean, come on, man.
the article is worse than I thought because I admit I didn't actually read the article. I saw the headline. I saw we said the headline is dumb enough as it is, but now I'm on air. I'm actually reading the quotes because Will Smith wasn't the only one. He's the one that they actually like called out, but they quote a ton of black shit libs in this article, and it's all garbage. It's
Hmm.
all garbage. It's like some shit that you would hear from Pete Buttigieg.
Hmm.
I'm trying to see who said this. This is one of the quotes. From a standpoint of getting it done. Let me share it. I'm gonna share it so you guys will see it too.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna give your thoughts as well, JB. Because we can debunk this so many different ways. See, they will call Jada Picker Smith. Like a lot of people actually don't know who they are. But I see a lot of people saying crazy stupid shit.
Yo, did you
So,
see
like
what?
this guy said, so abolish the police, defund the police. I would love it if we just said defund the bad police. Dude, this is some shit lip
Oh,
shit.
oh, whatever. I love what Creative Experience said. Creative Experience said they needed Carlton to make Will Smith look like a gangster in comparison. Like
That's a
what?
great point.
What?
And also, Will Smith, remember Bad Boys, Bad Boys.
Yep.
He
He was a
played a big
cop.
role. He
He was a
played a big
cop.
role in propaganda.
Yo, him, Ice Cube, Martin Lawrence, every single black celebrity, it seems like they had to play somebody in law enforcement. Morgan Freeman in the movie Seven was a detective. They always have to play somebody in law enforcement. Denzel Washington, in Training Day. And Denzel Washington in Training Day was probably the closest adaptation of what actual police are like in real life.
The CIA Hollywood connection is real. It's fuck, guys. It's
Yeah.
real. It's fuck. So this is the quote. Who I'm trying to see who said this. I think this is Smith, right? From a standpoint of getting it done, Black Lives Matter gets it done. Get it done. Defund the police doesn't get it done. No matter how good the ideas are, no matter how good the ideas are, just fucking I can't. You guys, I need someone to protect my wealth, right? He just said no matter how good the ideas are. Anyway, I'm not saying we shouldn't defund the police.
Then
I'm
what are you saying?
saying just don't say that because then people who will help you won't. Wait, hold on, wait. So
What?
wait. So wait, the headline is actually kind of misleading. Now I think about it. But anyway, that's still a trash statement. But he's not saying what they presented him as saying. Not look, now I actually read this. Now, because this is the whole quote. He's saying, I'm not saying we shouldn't defund the police. I'm just saying, just don't say that. See, that's bad. But not to be fair, guys. Like I said, I read the headline regarding Will Smith. It seemed like he for defund the police. He's just surrounded by some dumbass shit libs who tell him stuff like, "Oh, that's a bad slogan." It's not a bad slogan. It's saying exactly what we need to have done. So now, I think that's important to clarify because actually, like, once again, that's showing how shitty our media is. Because I didn't know the full content of the quote. Like, if you just read the headline, stop saying defund the police because the people who will help you won't. Like, that may seem like he just anyway.
So basically, all he is doing is just arguing semantics. That's all he's
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah,
Like,
but I remember when the story came out, that made it seem like they was like Will Smith speaks out against defund. Remember? I remember that.
I
But
don't
it actually,
remember, but that's what
yeah.
it sounds like from the top. You know what? This is the problem with media in the United States. They propagandize you so much, even just through the titles, man, and they'll make it seem like somebody says something completely different. Yeah, I disagree with Will Smith about the semantics argument. No, yeah, keep that shit in. Defund the police on the road to abolition. Fine, keep it in there. But if he believes in actually redistributing resources from police to the communities, I mean, okay, cool. I mean, we can educate him on the semantics. That's not an issue, you know. And so, like, why are you know, why in the hell would they? It's propaganda. That's what they focus
I
on.
do want to highlight this part here though, because like
Go ahead.
honestly, I read that like that Will Smith statement is
Hmm.
not great. Like there's a lot of criticism I have, but it wasn't presented the way I thought it was. But this comment I do want to comment on.
Hmm.
I don't know who Wesley Lowery is. Maybe I'm out of touch, but I think he was saying I would just like us to argue less about certain things and pay attention to the big right fruit. Like I said in this article, they got a lot of these opinions. They highlight Will Smith for some reason. So, boss the police, defund the police. I would love if you say defund the bad police. It's almost like I want, as Black Americans, for us to change our marketing for the new position we're in. So, critical race theory, just call it truth theory. The pendulum is swinging in our direction beautifully. Okay, so one few things. When in history have we made great gains by talking nice to our oppressors? We need to highlight the problem and address it and put accurate solutions. So then what you also say is defund the bad police. This is what I call a meaningless slogan. You know what I mean? So defund the
Yeah.
police, get directly to the point. Defund the bad police, that's a slogan. Because what's the application of that? What's the application of this? Because
You keep.
the reason why I want to defund the police is because I see the police as an institution that is using tear gas against protesters,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Which is a war crime.
Yeah.
So if you are a cop and you go along with tear gassing protesters, you are not a good cop. So
Hmm.
anyone that is by definition a cop, you can't be good because you are going along with a war crime. You see how that's why we say all cops are bastards, because if you go along with evicting homeless people at the beach with AR-15 pointing at them, how can you say that anyone who didn't blow the whistle or stop that is a good cop?
Hmm.
And one last point I passed to you, JB, is they were like, oh, we got to be smart about the solutions to these problems. We got to be smart about the solutions. Okay, let's be smart. You deeply unserious people. If you support ending the drug war, which if you polled is supported by the vast majority of the American people, including Republicans. In the
Hmm.
1980s, we drastically increased our police budgets in retaliation of the drug war because we waged the war on drugs. So
Hmm.
if you want to end the drug war, considering that all our money go toward fighting the drug war, where do you want the money to go?
Nick, can you answer this question? Who are the good police?
They don't exist. So let me give you guys another scenario here. And I've seen this all over Twitter. If there's a single mother that has been forcibly evicted in the wintertime, they had two small kids. This is violence. This is state violence. Like if my sister Finney says, evictions is violence. If you are a cop, and we already seen examples of cops pointing guns at people and forcibly evicting them from their homes. Where I come from, and where any leftist can come from, if you do not morally object to doing that, if you as a cop say, okay, I want to protect and serve my community, I care about people, I want to protect people, I cannot do this. I don't think this is right for us to forcibly evict anyone, right? If you don't take that moral stand, if you go along and follow the orders of doing that, if you follow the orders of shooting rubber bullets and making people go blind because they're protesting their state, if you go along with tear gassing your own citizens, if you go along with civil asset forfeiture, which steals more wealth than the working class and criminal burglary does, you cannot say you're a good cop, which hence is 99% of cops. Because the cops who do speak out against the system, they are demoted or they are forced to quit. They are ousted.
Hmm.
So all cops are bastards is not us being cheeky. That's not us being cute. That is us presenting the reality of the situation. That if anyone who want to be a cop, anyone who want to be a border patrol agent, anyone who want to be a prison guard, there is something wrong with you. Who wants to do this shit? Have you seen the videos of like cops beating the shit out innocent people? Who my thing is, as a martial artist as well, is who wants to beat the fuck out of innocent civilians. I seen a video of a cop like punching this old man right in the fucking face. They were
Mm-hmm.
throwing old women down in protest. I'm like, who wants to do this? What is wrong with anyone who wants to silence who sees this shit and then like, yo, this is a good day work. They sleep, they go home, they sleep like a baby.
Mm-hmm.
After fucking up people just for protesting their state. These people are not criminals.
That's sociopathic.
JB, you got any thoughts? Because I can go off on these subjects. I hope
Yeah.
awkward and JB awkward
Yeah.
knows.
I'm gonna answer this other super chat from Phantomus Fanto. Thanks for the super chat. Martin A, I guess, asked in the chat, how about disarm and demilitarize? That's part of defunding, but yeah, defund completely. Yeah. But the thing is that um why are we gonna disarm and demilitarize and yet we still keep the same white supremacist institution in place? What's the point? Because guess what? We may disarm and demilitarize now, but for a short while, but then they're going to want to arm and militarize again in the future. Doesn't make sense. Um, because look, the UK police is disarmed and demilitarized, and yet look at what they're doing to a lot of black people in the UK. Same
Australian
thing.
police is wild right now. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know a ton about Australian police. I don't know if they like armed and all that stuff, but they are wild right now.
yeah,
But go ahead, JB.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, still defund the police because they have way too much power and they have way too many funds, And look, uh, if police have that much power and that many funds, then why not just why don't schools have that much, power and funds? It doesn't make sense to me.
So I think we get awkward in the 10 demands comrades in here. Maybe
Hmm.
in about 10 to 15 minutes. I think you was going to 3 year time, right, James?
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
so I think we can talk for them. We can talk to them for like 30 minutes. We can take
Hmm.
some questions to them. What's your thought, JB?
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, so I
I
guess
j-
I was
I
asking you because it's your show.
yeah, I wanted to touch on this one more uh article really quick before we
Yeah,
move on to that.
yeah, sure. See, we are awkward in here.
Oh hell, we'll stay
Let me
on.
introduce my
We can stay
man.
on this for a little bit. What's
Let
up,
me,
awkward?
What's
awkward.
up?
You picked a good day to come on, man.
Oh
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
like
oh
we've been
yeah.
we've been live for about 80 minutes now. We pretty much been ranting about the police for a while. So I would
Oh,
love your take.
oh,
I know we was about to talk about the fourth demand. I don't know if you remember what I was saying. I think I wanted to bring you guys on just so we can have a general police abolition talk. Just because it's been a long time since we did our last video.
Hmm.
So I kind of want like our new audience to get introduced to you and your ideas.
Hmm.
And then we can schedule the to do like an official demand video. That cool with you?
so you're saying this is more informal, and then we'll do a formal one
Yeah,
another
like
day?
can we because James is gonna be on for like 3 p.m. So I decided just to invite you on and we can just have a conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I think we're gonna schedule a time to do like if you guys don't know, because we are live right now. If you guys don't know, we do I'm a co-founder of 10 Demands with Awkward, and we did a few videos, and we plan on completing the whole set. We have 10 demands, and I'm actually gonna pass it to you, Awkward, so you can explain the group and your mindset about behind it. Each demand is well thought out, and we're gonna have an episode that explains each one in great detail. We already did the first three. Our next episode we're scheduling. It's been a long time since we did it. But either way, I'm glad to have Awkward on Fred Hampton Leftists.
Yeah.
You want to like kind of introduce yourself and the idea behind the demands to get started? And I got a few things I want to ask you about because we was having fun today. But
All
go
right.
ahead, Awkward.
Cool. Yeah. So Nick and I, and at one point it was maybe up to 10 people, but now we're like 5 core people who about a year and a half ago came together to kind of provide a framework for organizers in cities and towns across the country toward abolition. So 10 demands for justice, the road toward abolition, is not necessarily, if you look from 1 to 10, chronological, but without a question, it has to start with defunding the police. And when you defund the police, that's not it unto itself. It's essential to take that money, reallocate it toward alternative programs that are actually designed to keep us safe and even thrive in our own communities. The last one is end carceral punishment. So from 1 to 10, you're chipping away at this system of oppression, the white supremacist institutions of policing and imprisonment. There are a number of things that can be done and should be done overnight. There are some things that will take time. What people will see in going through this, as well as looking at real life examples like we have now from New York City and Portland of the way these alternatives actually work and succeed, is that abolition is not lawlessness. It's actually holding people accountable as human beings for the the misdeeds, the injustices that they may have caused to other human beings. And the other thing it's not overnight. You don't wake up tomorrow and there's no police and there's no prisons. We're not in a position to do that because we have generations and generations of disinformation and propaganda that we have to work to counteract. So over time, as we're defunding and implementing these alternatives and cutting things like qualified immunity, cutting things like cash bail, the argument will become more and more clear. It'll be impossible to deny that policing and imprisonment don't work except to protect the ruling elite. And the alternative works for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
Go ahead, James. I'm
no,
gonna
that,
pull up the website on 10 Demands as well. And I think another reason why we had this discussion, because before we go back to our demand series, I just want to do a big introduction of 10 Demands on the channel. I think this is a good time to do this. I think I'm gonna clip this individually eventually, but I'm gonna have the website and we can go over the 10 Demands real quickly so people know what it is. But James, go ahead and
yeah,
finish your thoughts while I do that.
yeah. So awkward. Just to get you up to speed on what started this conversation. We were actually talking about an article that came out of ProPublica. In fact, I will share it again just so you can have a sense of what we were talking about. And you might have seen this on Twitter,
Yeah.
but this was basically the title of it is Black children were jailed for a crime that didn't exist. Almost nothing happened to the adults in charge. And it talks about Judge Davenport, who oversees the juvenile justice system in Tennessee. Uh, she has a history of jailing children, and she says that kids must face consequences, which rarely seem to apply to her or other adults in charge. So this started the conversation that we were having for basically the last almost hour and 15 minutes.
Well, so it's a
And
good day to have awkward on. That's exactly why.
it is a damn good day to have awkward on. And so that's what it started off with.
Yeah.
And so just off of just the title and the subtitle, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'll just put it into perspective for those who may have seen this and thought, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. Every time I see something like this, my heart is broken, and I'm enraged all at the same time. And yet also at the same time, I'm in no way surprised. In the past dozen years, thousands of state and local judges have broken laws and oaths, victimizing thousands of Black and brown and poor people, and 9 of 10 have kept their jobs. That is the reason why 10 Demands exists, because it's not enough to just defund police or abolish police. This entire system is corrupt. The entire system is functioning exactly as it was intended. It is a white supremacist institution that stems directly from slavery, chain gangs, and and the black codes and all of these things when slavery ended. So this makes perfect sense. Put as many Black and brown people into the system as possible. Once they're in, it's incredibly difficult to come out. Recidivism rates are incredibly high because
Mhm.
prisons and jails and detention centers are not intended to rehabilitate.
Mhm.
So none of this surprises me. It's way worse than just this one case, although it's really important to kind of put faces and human stories to the numbers, because
Mhm.
it's one thing to hear a guy who looks like me spout 1,000 this, 1,000 that, 9 out of 10 this, 9 out of 10 that. But when you read in detail a story like what's in ProPublica right now, people who may gloss over when they hear me may wake up a little bit and take the next step to do the research that we've been doing.
Just wanted to help people understand, because some people may not know the meanings of certain things. You said the recidivism rate. Just to give everybody a definition of what recidivism is, it is a tendency, the tendency of a convicted criminal to re-offend. So that's what recidivism means. And so, like, if I were watching this, I probably wouldn't have known exactly what that was until we look up. But fortunately, because of my education, because of people like yourself and Nick, I have learned that in the past. So, but I wanted other people to know what those words meant as well. So thank
Yeah.
you. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the 10 Demands song, I borrow a quote from a Black feminist radical woman who, who I just thought put it so eloquently that,
Hmm.
being an abolitionist requires you to unlearn. I'm not quoting directly right now, but requires you to unlearn everything you've been taught since birth
Hmm.
about, crime and punishment, about perpetrator and victim, and the amount of things that we don't know is will blow your mind. And as it relates to recidivism, people may not know, but 2/3 of people on average go back to prison. The recidivism rate on average in this country is 67%. And then
Wow. Wow.
just to
Mm.
blow your minds, the recidivism rate for convicted sex offenders is 3.5%. I only bring that up because you know the misconception of stranger danger, that all of us have to walk around in fear of, of sexual offenders. 95% of sex offenses are committed by someone not on the registry. 90% of sex assault victims know the attacker, and like I said, only the assumption is that they can't. Those are the people we're always asked as abolitionists, what about the rapists? Those are the people that can't be repaired or transformed through the type of justice we're pushing for. But when in reality, the recidivism rate for the average, so to speak, crime is ridiculously higher. And a big part of that is because there's way more people who are going in to prisons for things that we're not terrified about, such as smoking marijuana or possessing marijuana, or not paying some kind of fine, and or not keeping up with some bill that that ends up putting you in behind bars. The vast majority of people that are locked up are Black and brown and poor, and the vast majority are nonviolent.
All right. Thank you.
I just want to take this time to welcome to the stream my good friend. I don't know if James and Zoya are acquainted, but it'd be a good time to get acquainted. Zoya, my good friend, also co-founder of 10 Demands. Welcome to Hampton Leftists. Thank you for joining us. We are having a general discussion. We're going to schedule a time to do a formal discussion on the fourth demand, which is next. But I wanted to bring you and Awkward on, especially right now. This was a good episode because we was having a lot of police abolition discussion. So I think you guys had a lot to add to this discussion, and I was going to talk about 10 demands and your guys' theory of change on police abolition. Awkward just broke it down, but thank you for joining us, Zoya. Welcome to the show.
Hi, guys.
This is technically my first official meeting with Zoya. I have been hearing about you and the work that you've been doing, and everyone, everyone talks about how much they love you. Um, and so I just wanted to say that it is a privilege for for you, to grace yourself in our presence on this stream. So I appreciate having you with us.
Oh, JB.
Same, such a pleasure to share space with you guys. I love all of you guys and appreciate
Thank,
everything you do.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah, Zoya been activist for quite a long time. So just to shift this conversation this way, I'm gonna have an introduction to Zoya. We kind of had an introduction to awkward. I'm gonna keep it very general before we move on to the next story. Why do you decided to join 10 Demands with us? Why is this something that you're passionate about? Just give, I know you like people don't know Zoya is a long time activist. She's really been in this fight for a long time. So just so people know who you are, and then we can move on to discussion. Zoya, just give a little basic intro about how you got involved in activism and why you got so passionate about 10 Demands.
Well, I started off super young. And to be honest with you, as a teenager, I was very passionate about environmentalism and legalizing pot because it was insane to me that a plant is illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And that accidentally led me down the road of activism. I honestly thought that, we're just going to legalize pot really quick and I'll move on with my life. But I got involved with organizations and petitioning the city council and all of these things on such a deep level. And I ended up being involved for decades. And the fight for legalization still continues. And of course, that work exposed the racial disparities in drug enforcement. And I think that anyone that observes the type of injustices in this society cannot just stand still and stand by, because I deeply believe that until all of us are free, none of us are free in this system. So the fight really, I think, touches everything and everyone. And unfortunately, growing up in poverty, I had a lot of friends that were assaulted by police in front of me, as well as myself. And a lot of friends that were incarcerated and are still incarcerated. And I saw that people with money and privilege were able to escape the justice system. And a lot of people close to me, simply because they couldn't afford the same attorneys, ended up serving serious sentences. And that was just something that affected me personally, and I couldn't stand by. And I've been involved in many aspects of trying to change the laws in our system, which is very difficult.
Hmm.
But I am happy to continue that fight. 10 Demands is something I truly believe in. Abolition, I think, is the path forward. And I want people to get educated on what that means and for us to fight for a better society.
So this year, I know some people were asking for the website. Big shout out to Quaker Socialist for posting the link. And I'll toss it to awkward here, and we don't have to do giant long. Cause we're gonna do a series on each individual demand. So here's the list of the 10 demands that we had calls where we were discussing this for quite a long time. A lot of thought given to each one. So here's our website 10forjustice.com/demands. Anything you want to add on here, awkward, and I'll pass it back to JB.
I mean, I would say that, you know, I would say that given the constant feedback that we get that we're well intentioned, or our ideas are actually perfect, but our language is problematic, that we can't say defund, we certainly can't say abolish. And due to the misunderstandings of what abolition really is, I think that it's really important for anyone who who's willing to investigate further, and just take that first step to go beyond reading just the titles of each of the demands. Each is, as Nick said, like really thought out over quite a lot of time with a lot of different perspectives incorporated. And there's a lot of concrete actionable items under each demand that can be taken at the local and the state and even the federal level. But most importantly to listeners, again, the local aspect of this, if you click the take action button, we have a letter that you can text directly to your mayor, your governor, or your state or national representatives in Congress. And these are action items essentially that you can bring to city council meetings. So think about it that way, that, you have to start somewhere. And, as long as your efforts are, the result of your efforts will be a chipping away of the system and not something that will somehow add strength to the system, further ingrain us in the system, or put more monetary investment in the system, then you're heading toward abolition in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Nick, you're muted.
Yeah, I was about to say, sorry. This group, it was an honor to be part of forming it, because always trying to educate people on abolition. I think, well, the ask here, what we explaining here is exactly what I try to explain to people here. Let me find this here. I think it was on the first page. Because you explained earlier that we have a road to abolition. And I said multiple times, I would say stuff like, "Oh, we need to defund the police. We need to defund the police." And then there's some people, and I think they have great intentions, and I love them. They always say, "Well, I'm not for defund the police. I think we should abolish the police." And I'm like, "Well, I say defund the police for a reason, because there is a path to police abolition." And I love the mission statement that we have here. 10 demands for justice envisions a new society in which prisons and police are no longer necessary and communities are equipped to provide for their own health and safety. 10 demands for justice offers a roadmap. I'm saying that's what I always tell people. And then you always have people who bad faith who don't describe the road to abolition directly. Like, "Oh, you were just gonna get rid of cops? Well, then what?" No, we have a roadmap. And then, as Awkward was saying, if you actually look at each one of these, we go into great detail, like what actually can be done, and that what Awkward was highlighting. But I'll pass it to Zoya. Do you have anything you want to add? And then JB can chime in as well. But make sure you guys check out the timforjustice.com, because it also is just a great resource. I like reading it, just because it helps sharpen my own knowledge up as well, because I learned a lot from my friends Awkward and Zoya on this topic. Last year we were having a lot of discussion, so it's great. So I'll pass it to Zoya, and then JB. You got anything you want to add, Zoya?
Let me just say quickly, hold on. The resources page. I just want to add, because the resources page. Forget what you can learn from me. There are people who've lived it more closely, who are affected more drastically by it, who've been doing this longer. We have dozens of articles, websites, videos. I mean, this is a massive resource library. So that's just something else to keep in mind as well. Sorry, Zoya.
Yeah. So on the topic of abolition, I think there's just a lot of misunderstanding. And to your point, the main starting place for all of us is education, and 10 Demands tries to do that, and we put a lot into research, and we're always adding on and evolving our research, and we're happy to provide resources. But I think first we have to start at a place which I listen to a lot of Awkward's interviews, and he always points out the ineffectiveness of the system we have now, the ineffectiveness of police. So once we understand that what we have isn't working, we can start to discuss what can take its place and be more effective. So for one, we have to accept our futility as a species to prevent all crime. There's no utopia anywhere without rape and murder, because that's always thrown out in our faces, right? What are you going to do with the rapists and murderers? And while that might be shocking and unfortunate, at least it allows us to begin an honest conversation about which institutions actually prevent crime. Without fail, every study demonstrates a direct correlation between increased social services and decreased crime. The more safety nets and enrichment programs the government provides, the less crime you see in a community. In reality, police don't stop crime, and punitive justice results in shattering communities while draining resources for cages instead of schools and hospitals. It also does nothing for the victim of the crime. Restorative justice, which abolition is centered on, is about healing for the victim, the perpetrator, and community. Abolition is a concept centered on mutual cooperation over competition. When people compete, that means someone always loses. And the losses are unspeakable in the game of life. We need to understand that a hungry or houseless person should not exist in a wealthy society that throws out billions in food and is full of empty dwellings. That is a sociopathic design. It isn't just, it isn't simply immoral, it is irrational and inefficient. And for what? So that the few can retain power over the many. Modern monarchies exist, except these nobles fly space rockets instead of wearing crowns. Defunding the police and carceral state is about funding community. Fund society. That is our battle cry. It's not so much defund the police as fund us. It is a much tougher slogan to attack or fearmonger. The government exists to serve the people, not keep them in line to serve the 1%. That is an oligarchy. And I stumbled upon something in early 20th century. There's an author, Robert Michaels, that developed a theory that democracies, like all large organizations, have a tendency to turn into oligarchies. In his Iron Law of Oligarchy, he suggests that the necessary division of labor in large organizations leads to the establishment of a ruling class mostly concerned with protecting their own power. We are living that reality. And how do you convince a person working 3 jobs just to pay for shelter that these conditions are acceptable? Fear. It's simply fear. Our corporate owned mainstream media serves to generate fear, which ferments hate. That hate empowers modern feudalism.
Mhm.
So, a key component of abolition is the recognition that the wealth of our labor generates should be reinvested in us. So
Yeah.
we don't criminalize poverty, but eradicate it. It is, in fact, artificially created. And a tiny fraction of our war budget can feed and house everyone.
Yeah.
When
True.
you build a society centered on the needs of all its people, there's almost no murder or rape or theft organically. These crimes are symptoms of a broken system, not causes that should dictate policy. It's not a theory because we can observe this in other countries.
Mhm.
Happy people don't commit crime. When you know and care about your neighbors, you generate good quality of life for everyone. Americans need to free their thinking from toxic individualism and realize our strength is in community. Stop being mindless consumers and experience solidarity that serves everyone. On a personal note, I lived in the USSR. Housing, healthcare, education, transportation, and all basic human needs were provided. It is possible, and countries with far less wealth and resources achieve it. We have to stop thinking that shelter, medicine, and food must be earned. We have the resources to make them guaranteed. But how will they force us to serve them if our needs are met? That is why we are denied these basics, and disenfranchised workers are at war with each other instead of those exploiting them.
Boom.
This is why I've been waiting to get Zoya back on Friday
Zoya,
with this.
that was your best.
All right, guys. I'm good. You guys,
Yeah,
Zoya, take care of yourself. Bye bye.
that was the best yet. Well done.
Yeah, this is exactly why I told you guys Zoya the real deal, and
And so
appreciate.
important too, because of she's connecting it to everything else.
Yes.
There's a reason that abolitionists talk so much about mutual aid. These things
Thank
are
you.
not all separate.
Thank you.
That was
Look,
powerful.
I'm
And
gonna be
thanks for
real.
JB for for allowing
Yo,
us to do this on this show.
no. Thank you. I am so goddamn happy for y'all. Y'all done just came over here and just blessed my stream, and I just thank you. Thank you.
No, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, it's about time you had us on, right?
About goddamn time. I'm late. I'm
This
late as
was
hell.
there was a long time
Insane.
coming. We have the man's episode for number 3 on
Yeah.
Fred Hampton Leftists. That was like 3 months ago or something like that. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I
We're
wanted to
busy.
yeah, it's hard to get to get this thing scheduled. That's
Yeah.
exactly why I wanted to have a conversation today, because it was 3 months ago, and I want to introduce our audience
really
to Awkward and Zoya, who's really about, and like I'll go on countless police. Like I honestly don't like Awkward is probably the only person who beats me. But I said multiple times, and Awkward beats me. Probably I said there's probably no other leftist content creator that did more like segments on our police state. But Awkward probably got me beat. Awkward got me beat because that's
Hold
literally
up.
his channel. But
Hold up.
Jay, go ahead, Jay.
I got to address this. What we're saying is that we should revamp a system where it actually treats people in a way where we promote restorative justice. Most people are criminals, or quote unquote criminals, because the system has screwed them over so much that they have no choice but to commit crime. And that's what it is. Most crimes are done because they're crimes of opportunity and desperation.
The
And the
first
reason
problem,
why.
sorry,
Okay.
no.
I want to get Awkward and Zoya to respond to this as well, because I know Awkward is like chomping at the bit.
I shouldn't. Right, I am, and that's the problem. I should not have cut you off, JB. Go ahead.
No.
James and then Awkward can chime in.
And so the thing is that if you take away the desperation and the lack of opportunity, then the criminals will diminish, and you won't. So what we're doing is we're tackling the root causes of crime, not the crime itself. So if you attack the root causes of crime, we're done attacking the sneeze. We're going after the virus. See, and that's exactly what we're trying to do.
Right, and we're not attacking the sneezer, and we're not using the term criminal. That's the first mistake. Okay, so the Angela Davis talks about it. The number of people who commit crimes in this country or who have broken the law is vastly larger than the number of people who are called or deemed criminal. The people who are considered criminals in this country are people from communities that have been criminalized. They're the same communities that have the least funding, the worst education, the worst hospitals, all the stuff that JB is talking about. There are people in prison for stealing a piece of pizza, for jaywalking. If these are the criminals you're so terrified about, then I don't know what to tell you. But what abolition is about is not just letting people go free and not holding them accountable. It's actually holding them accountable. Disappearing people in a cage and forgetting all about them and the victims of whatever their crime was is not the solution. You need to actually fix the problem itself and why the problem happened. It is a one person harms another person. Why did that person harm that other person? Most perpetrators have been victims themselves. And the best way to heal the whole community that has been impacted is to transform everyone who's involved. And the best way to do that is through mediation, rehabilitation, community service, education. These are the types of responses to crimes that may still happen in an abolitionist society. Because again, very much like the cops today who solve 3% of all major crimes and are meanwhile responsible for a third of all stranger murders, abolition is not going to completely end all crime. It's not, someone else said it, it's not going to create a utopia. That's not something that's conceivable. That's not what abolitionists are talking about. Abolition is a way of looking at the causes of crime and looking at humans as human beings and not just people doing bad things onto other people because they're inherently, innately bad.
Mhm.
Well said, awkward. And you see how it's all too easy to just debunk these propaganda talking points that just people are repeated and they repeat over and over again. And there's such an important point that you make, and I make this all the time. And I would love to see what Zoya had to say on this topic. I want people to define crime and violence. And as an abolitionist, we put an onus on the giant police state defenders because we are clear on what we think is violence. You guys are criminalizing people for smoking a plant. The cops are 16 times more likely to shoot someone who having a mental health crisis. So they are criminalizing being human. You have our government that is literally killing and illegally launching wars overseas that kill about over 2 million dead Iraqis because of our policies. We literally have federal agents that are sexually assaulting migrants from other countries that are fleeing the violence of our state.
Mhm.
So and once again, I say this all the time, but our police and our government use tear gas, which is a war crime, on its own citizens. I know I say that over and over, but that bears repeating over and over again. There were women who had miscarriages last summer because they was pregnant and the police tear gas them. So
And
tell
they
me who's
weren't.
the violent one? Who's the violent one? What's the crime?
Yeah, and they
Go ahead,
weren't even
Awkward.
all at, they weren't even all at the protest. Half of these people had tear gas floating into their windows because there were protests near their homes. I mean, in Minneapolis, you saw federal agents shooting paint canisters at people sitting on their own porches. I mean, they're not even restricting it to protesters. I mean, we know that all of the protections for the press have. I mean, more members of the press died in 2020 or murdered in 2020 than ever before. Yeah.
I have something else to show you guys. I'm
Uh,
I'll pull it up. I showed this earlier before.
before
And
you get
go ahead, JB.
before you get that, I would like to get Zoya's response to that comment as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. Go ahead, Zoya.
I have more to add later. Go ahead and show the
Okay.
So
footage.
I'll be quick. Mine's really quick here. I want to show you. I shared this earlier in the stream. Awkward and Zoya wasn't here, and they say, so you think all criminals should go free? Is that what you're saying? This is our system. Billionaire who raped his 3-year-old daughter avoids prison time, while a poor black guy in Mississippi he had his phone in jail because the prison guards forgot to take it from him. He gets 12 years in prison, but the billionaire who raped the 3-year-old is out of prison. Oh, you're gonna let the criminals go free? We already do it. We already do it based on class. This is why it's easy to debunk
Exactly.
talking points of people who are for giant police budgets and they are pro-police because they are deeply unserious people. Deeply unserious. We have white-collar criminals that is stealing money from the working class. We have the ruling class that is running sex crime operations. And you worry about small-time petty theft getting away? They already get away. The billionaire class already get away with their crimes. So what are you talking about, Todd? The reality that you built in your head in which we actually deal with criminals, it doesn't exist. It is a system that is targeted towards the working class, poor black and brown indigenous, disenfranchised communities. That's the system you're defending. Zoya? Sorry, I was just say I can get
Boom.
And just wanted to also add to that. I think if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but there's over 250,000 untested rape kits that are in the police departments in the United States. How many of those rape kits have the DNA of police officers in them?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then how about the fact that there's 250,000 rape kits that have not been tested because the cops don't do their job? How about the fact that there's 35 states in this country where cops are allowed to rape people in their custody legally? How about the fact that 40% of cops admit to abusing their families?
That's the criminals getting away though, Todd, aren't they?
Yeah, the cops. They're getting away every day.
The politicians.
Yeah.
Look at Matt Gaetz.
Right. Right. And keep this in mind too. The corporations, you know, the phone companies, the food service companies, the corporations that make killings not just off of private prisons, but off of state, federal institutions, detention centers, are the same corporations that are donating to your favorite politicians and who are donating to the police foundations, and these police foundations and police unions are donating to these politicians as well. So they are all in bed together. It's the way that they're able, you know, corporations and jails that are run by cities or counties are able to collude and make it so that all of a sudden there's no visitation. The only way you can communicate with family members is by phone. And whoops, we're going to make the phone calls $10 a minute because you're poor and that's why you're locked up. We want you to suffer more. Figure out a way to communicate with your family members. And oh, by the way, we're going to record those calls and start tracking the people you're communicating with on the outside.
I want to get Zoya's thought because I know she wanted to pop off. But there's a great comment by James before I pass it. We have more black people in jail right now than South Africa did during the entirety of apartheid. This is why I love my community. You guys been. I'm sorry I didn't highlight all of them, but I've just been reading the comments. You guys have been dropping some great comments in here, so keep it coming. Great comment by James. But Zoya, what's your thoughts? You have anything you want to say regarding the topic? And
I wanted to play a clip, just the audio of it, from this documentary. The documentary.
I think you can share, right?
I don't know how I would do that because it's literally.
Or you can post it in the chat, in the private chat, and I can share it if you don't know how to do it.
I'll just play the audio because I have it paused on that place. We'll be better prepared last time. Sorry, guys.
All right, that's fine.
But it's from the documentary 13th on Netflix, which I highly recommend for everyone to watch to understand the history of why we are where we are. This relates to, you know, drug enforcement and how it even came about. So hopefully you guys can hear this.
There's this outcry for law and order, and Nixon becomes a person who articulates that perfectly.
There can be no progress in America without respect for law.
Many people felt like we were losing control.
We need total war in the United States against the evils that we see in our cities.
Federal spending for local law enforcement will double.
Time is running out for the merchants of crime and corruption in American society. The wave of crime is not going to be the wave of the future in the United States of America. We must wage what I have called total war against public enemy number one in the United States, the problem of dangerous drugs.
A war on drugs. And that utterance gave birth to this era where we decided to deal with drug addiction and drug dependency as a crime issue rather than a health issue. Hundreds of thousands of people were being sent to jails and prisons for simple possession of marijuana, for low-level offenses.
Hang on, it gets better.
America's public enemy number one in the United States is drug abuse. In order to fight and defeat this enemy, it is necessary to wage a new all-out offensive.
This call for law and order becomes integral to something that comes to be known as the Southern Strategy. Nixon begins to recruit Southern whites, formerly staunch Democrats, into the Republican fold.
Persuading poor and working class whites to join the Republican Party in droves.
By speaking to, in subtle and non-racist terms,
thinly veiled racial appeals.
Talking about crime, by talking about law and order, or the chaos of our urban cities unleashed by the civil rights movement.
We have launched an all-out offensive against crime, against narcotics, against permissiveness in our country.
The rhetoric of get tough and law and order was part and parcel of the backlash of the civil rights movement.
Nixon administration official has admitted that the war on drugs is all about throwing black people in jail. He said, quote, the Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black. But by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities.
You guys heard that?
Yeah, the last part is the big.
That's the system that the people that have Black Lives Matter in their profile defends.
And that's John L. Richmond, Nixon's advisor, speaking. There's one more quote from him I want to play. It's short.
We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did.
Yep. He was counselor assistant to the president for domestic affairs.
So when I tell you guys that the Democratic Party, and also by extension the Republican Party, is the party of white supremacy, this is what I'm talking about. How many people who have Black Lives Matter in their profile picture essentially defend and still uphold the policies of Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan? Joe Biden, by the way, during Ronald Reagan's presidency, played a giant role in pushing his administration to the right on escalating the war on drugs.
Yeah.
And this is the reality. Go ahead, Awkward.
No, I was just going to say, like, this is something that I think it's a really good thing that you do a lot on your show, is tie the stuff that I focus a lot on with the larger international picture. So I was just going to do that in this particular case. In the US, every 25 seconds, someone is arrested for drug possession, and 1 in 5 people who are locked up are there for drug charges. The DA alone costs $6,500 per minute. And we're going to pay $3.5 billion in 2021 this year, just to fund that one agency, with, of course, Black people being 600 times more likely to be incarcerated for these things. But the war on drugs has this international effect as well. The U.S. spends $47 billion per year enforcing drug laws, and has spent more than $1 trillion since the war has started, with millions of people across the world dying as a result of this war on drugs that is designed just to put certain people in prison in this country.
JB, you muted.
The system is designed to serve the status quo, and the status quo means poverty and war. Capitalism in America is a predatory pyramid scheme, and racism is just a crucial mechanism used to divide the working class, so we never unite against the elites dancing on our backs. If you pay attention to that clip, this war on drugs started because of the civil rights movement, because of the protests. They couldn't imprison peaceful protesters. They had nothing to imprison them on. So in order to attack the movement and attack these people, they had to criminalize them in some sort of way. And that is the only reason we have these drug policies. And it is very much about depriving movements of momentum and fighting for things that we are absolutely entitled to from our government.
I was going to also bring up, and maybe this is a naive question, but I apologize if it is a naive question, but wouldn't it be just cheaper to treat people for drug addiction than to lock them up?
Yes.
Yeah. Prison costs more than college as well. To incarcerate someone for a year costs more money than to send them to an Ivy League school. But there's, it's like maybe you spend a little up front, but they know the kickbacks on the back end, all the money that's exchanging hands with the corporate, tie-ins, and, plus the fact that, when you fill prisons with, let's say in upstate New York with Black and brown people from downstate, from the city, the census is counting all of those people in the state or in the part of the state where they're incarcerated, and not in the parts of the city where they have been taken from, where they actually could use the funding from all the people having been removed. There's so many different ways that they're profiting that and with the underlying goal, I think, of disappearing people, that it doesn't matter what that cost really is. Even, you know what I mean? Like that's like a you know, like a loss they're willing to take because of all the other gains in other places.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this is why I like to tie all the issues together, because not only do you have situations like these where you save money if you actually have a progressive criminal justice system, it also the kind of same for healthcare, right? Where if you gave people Medicare for all, that will actually save more money over having a private healthcare system or a public option system. So even though we explain this stuff to conservative and shit libs, they still prefer the more expensive option. So once again, this is a philosophical debate. What is this about? And this is the capitalists who are willing, and this is my thoughts. The capitalists are hardcore against abolition, even though we would save money through our society. They're against Medicare for all, even though studies show that it will save money. They're against canceling student loan debt, even though studies show that will save money, that will actually stimulate the economy. It's because the capitalists, and this is the harmful truth of the matter, they are willing to pay more for the inequality. So the two-tier society, the two-tier criminal justice system, the two-tiered healthcare system, the multi-layered healthcare system that we have, because once you get a public option, that's a two-tier system. Because you had the public pool and then you had the rich private pool, which is better insurance. That's why the public option sucks. But studies show the public option in the current healthcare system costs more. But they are for the system that costs more because they are essentially paying for the inequality. They want to say they have gold-plated healthcare. The people who defend the giant police budgets, like Will Smith and Morgan Freeman, like we covered earlier, they know that the police are going to protect their property. They know that the criminal justice system is a two-tier system, one for the rich, one for the poor. So that's why they defend it. So they know that what we are talking about saves money. They know it will save money to actually give the homeless person a house instead of keeping them on the street and actually paying a ton of money for anti-homeless architecture. They know that saves more money. They were spending like $30,000 per can in San Francisco, but they pay for the inequality. That's what I wanted to add to this. Zoya, James, Awkward, anyone want to jump in?
Well, America is blessed with an abundance of ignorance, with a surplus of individualism, and it is killing all of us.
Say that again. Say that again. That was fire.
America is blessed with an abundance of ignorance, with a surplus of individualism, and it is killing us all. These policies make sense financially. I, in my work, have often had to convince conservatives or Republicans to support policy, and I would just leave politics out of it altogether. I would always tell them, my father told me never to discuss religion or politics, and then just move on to discussing the policies and why they make sense. You can appeal to even the most selfish mindset because these policies make sense. And like you said, the only reason to fund them is to fund inequality.
Mm-hmm. And that's why you know, roles are so important. You know, during the civil rights era, I've talked about this a lot. You know, the movement wouldn't have been successful. MLK wouldn't have been successful to the degree that he was, and to the degree that the civil rights movement was successful in passing certain laws. That was out of fear of the alternative. If we don't do the bare minimum that this Christian pacifist that we don't truly understand is a lot more radical, you know, is saying, we're going to have to face the Black Panthers and Malcolm X. So, you know, what MLK needed was this more radical side to push people toward him. And so there are people like me who spend a lot of time talking about what people deem to be this radical concept of abolition. And then you have people who support abolition and can speak about it in terms like Zoya and, you know, Nick are talking about, which is, this will save you money. And, you know, when I interviewed Dylan Rodriguez a couple weeks ago, you know, he talked about, you know, why don't we just say our goal is for there to be 0 killings of Black people by cops? Who can, like, if you can't say that you like, if you say you don't support that, you're a bad person. Like, you can, like, no one's going to say you're a bad person if you say I don't support abolition. But let's talk about what it really means. Dude, cops have to kill 0 people. 0. And like, until they've like, and then that's what we're fighting for it to be 0. And people are going to realize that the only way for it to be 0 is for there to be 0 cops. So I can talk about abolition. Someone else can say, we talk about it in that way. Like, don't tell me you don't want there to be 0 innocent people being killed, you know. And so politicians can say, can talk about funding our communities. Don't say defund. You don't have to. I'll say it for you. I'll be the person who's scaring the shit out of you. The black bloc will be on the streets lighting cop cars on fire. They'll scare the shit out of you. So if you don't want to deal face to face with me or them, then sit down with us before the city council meeting, or open it up to the public, because there's going to be people who will talk a lot less violently that maybe you'll be interested in listening to, because the alternative is scarier.
You know, regarding Martin Luther King, they try to create this image of him that is acceptable and digestible for the system. But in reality, he was really big in the labor movement. Yes. Where was he assassinated? He was down in Tennessee in order to support striking sanitation workers. Yep. Mm-hmm. He was there on a labor movement issue. And not only that, but I don't know if you guys know this, but it's even in Wikipedia. I'm just going to briefly read it. The King family and others believe that the assassination was the result of a conspiracy involving the U.S. government, the mafia, and Memphis police, as alleged by Lloyd Jowers in 1993. They believe that Ray was a scapegoat. In 1999, the family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Jowers for the sum of $10 million. During closing arguments, their attorney asked the jury to award damages of $100 to make the point that it was not about the money. During the trial, both sides presented evidence alleging a government conspiracy. The accused government agencies could not defend themselves or respond because they were not named as defendants. Based on the evidence, the jury concluded that Jowers and others were part of a conspiracy to kill King and awarded the family $100. It always leads back to the government having nefarious reasons.
Yes, without a doubt. But he wasn't standing there, looking like a Muslim with a rifle. You know, that was terrifying.
Yeah. You know, and so we get to this point now where, you know, a lot of leaders who are trying to dismantle the system that keeps us oppressed. And so they see us as a threat. And the threat is not because of their safety. The threat is never about their safety. The threat is about them just not having more than the average person. That's the threat. And that is the silliest, stupidest fear I have ever heard. That you're afraid of being just like everybody else. That is what this is all about. That you can have this power over people and dictate what they do simply because you feel like you should just have more than they do. Ultimately, I think this is what it's all about. And so in order to keep that system in place, they exploit you. Then they have people to protect you, protect themselves from you, from actually correcting the system of exploitation into making it into a system of justice. And so it's a system of injustice to keep us in line for them so that they can hold on to that power to be above everyone else. And that's the core of what I see.
Yeah. And our elected officials continue to show themselves as being those people, right in line with the CEOs and whoever else who wants to maintain that separation and power and comfortability and all of that. But I say that, I bring that up only because I want to say that this does not mean, as much as we need to focus on our own communities, and I do believe mutual aid, and dual power, like these are primary focus, like number one, so communities can take care of themselves. If we do end up in a position where we are forced to general strike, it will be because we are actually prepared to do so, and the mutual aid infrastructure is what we need for that. But I don't believe that this means that electoralism is completely dead, because laws do need to change, and the only way to change those laws are for the people in power to make those changes. And so while I think focusing on state and federal politicians is not my area, it's not what I'm going to do, and I don't want to dissuade people from any type of organizing, but I really think local politicians is where you can make this difference. You can change the lives of thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people in your city by changing the makeup of your city council. If your city council is comprised of people who want to defund the police department will be defunded. And yes, my cat's always making.
I'm sorry, my bad, awkward. I saw the cat, and I think the cat.
I know you're not over the comments. What I'm saying. This guy. Look at that. Can't get cuter than that.
Yeah, so the cat kind of hijacked there, but awkward always bringing.
Just try to focus on what I'm saying, not what I'm.
Yeah, because that CJ and Rome, they adore cats. They be going nuts right now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they're huge cat lovers. Them two. Oh, especially Rome. Rome eyes turn into literal hearts when he sees cats.
We are very pro cat here at Hampton Leftists, I think.
We are pro cat. I'm pro dog. I'm pro dog too, but we're also pro cat.
That's very nice and very, non-misogynistic of you.
One thing I'll say to bring this home is everything that we covered on this episode, everything that we discussed. I mean, we even had a quick segment where we was talking about where we addressed a concern of someone who is caught in the police state propaganda. I hope everyone who watched this realized how easy their talking points are to disprove. And as I was saying earlier, me and Awkward probably put the most content out there debunking police state propaganda out there. And when you see a massive bipartisan push with I think it won like 9-0. We had the Democrats team up with Tommy Tuberville to punish local governments because they want to defund the police. When that story hit, they framed it as a big loss to the defund the police movement. But I want to address and bring up the fact that this wouldn't happen if we didn't have massive momentum. I covered the massive flips that we had compared to how unpopular defund the police was last year compared to now. So what Awkward and what we were doing at 10 Demands and other police abolition groups and activists who are continuing to spread the word is having a profound effect. Like what other policy, including Medicare for all, including $15 minimum wage, including weed, including gay marriage. Think of a single policy that has shifted to like plus 30 in 1 year, like defund the police has done. It's insane. So that's why I want to continue to promote this idea. That's why you're going to see Awkward and Zoya back on the channel because we're going to continue the 10 Demand series. And I appreciate you guys coming on all that stuff. And that's why we're going to continue having these conversations.
I love Fred Hampton Left. You guys know that. I appreciate you having us on today. And yeah, definitely stay tuned because like some of these videos are going to be hardcore. Like to me, when we talk about ending strategic counter protest violence, we talk reparations, the war on drugs, freeing political prisoners, closing local jails, abolishing ICE, like there's some serious videos on the way.
Also, I'll give you guys a chance to get a last word. I'm gonna pass it to Zoya and Awkward as well. Any last thoughts? And also, we can plug the website, 10 Demands website again, and where they can find you guys. Because once again, if you guys can see our old videos, I think you have it on the 10 Demand YouTube channel as well. But anyway, I'll pass it to you guys for last words and so where they can find you guys.
I see someone in comments was asking Zoya website. I'm part of 10 Demands, 10forjustice.com. That is the website to go to. I don't ever want to take the spotlight. I want to center the movement. And another thing I just want to throw out there to wrap all of this up, I think that all of these issues are interrelated and we should always connect them. And just something to think about. Bernie was praised during the primary, and you see other politicians gain praise where they can get bipartisan support around something. So it is perfectly acceptable. Even Anna Kasparian recently debated Ben Shapiro. It is perfectly acceptable for certain privileged people to reach across the aisle and talk to people who they disagree with. It is even celebrated. But when us working class people try to talk to people that we may disagree with, it is suddenly vilified into this ridiculous red-brown alliance rhetoric and other things. That needs to stop. That is bad faith. There is nothing wrong with educating people you disagree with. That is how we move ourselves forward. And people who are trying to attack us, who are coming here in good faith, are the bad faith actors.
That is well said. That's exactly the message that we wanted to get out. That was Zoya and Awkward, and obviously I help co-fund 10 Demands as well. This is why they fit exactly in with Fred Hampton Leftists. Awkward last word, and then JB obviously can chime in after that, and we tell you guys what we have coming up. But Awkward, anything you want to end with, any last thing you want to promote or anything?
Just to add to what Zoya said, just my congratulations to you guys, my respect to you guys, my admiration for being able to move through the internal strife that you guys had last week or the week before or whatever it was. I think the way that you guys eventually chose to kind of hash out the issue and everyone speak to each other. It sucked that all of this had to happen publicly, but I think because it did, what you guys ended up doing was demonstrating the way transformative justice can work. I was right there with Afeni in the beginning when she was saying this is not transformative justice. This was the way things happened with Compton J. This is not the way it should have been done. And you guys you heard that, you completely switched it up. I just think you guys have a really powerful platform and a lot of people rely on you. And there's just not enough powerful Black men and women, or individuals, I should say, taking gender out of this, who do such important work and have such strong, powerful, educated and voices. I'm really glad that it turned out the way it did. And thank you for demonstrating that, teaching the rest of us how it can be done.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, Awkward. We always 100% clear here that we are just activists with a YouTube channel. And at the end of the day, we solved all that in a day. A lot of people made a lot of emotional. There was a lot of emotions. We're all human. But we decided to take that moment, and people will wonder why. We came out with a few videos because since it did go public, we figured let's take this moment and make it a learning lesson for everyone involved. And exactly. I think that's what it was. And at the end of the day, we got solved in one day because we knew we were family and we loved each other. I said on the other YouTube channel, I've been in fights with relatives, brothers and sisters, where we get heated, shit goes south, and then when the next day we damn, we talked that through. It was rough, but we love you, and that's how it was at Fred Hampton Leftists. And now I said before, I really do believe that we are stronger now, and we learned legitimately. The people that put bad faith motivations on us, which is unfortunate. But I'm telling you guys, we legitimately learned from not only that experience, but every single negative experience that you guys have not seen. Like that was the one you guys seen,
Right,
but
right.
you guys don't know.
Hey,
The yelling matches between me, CJ, Rome, all of us have been intense. This is the
yeah,
one that leaked, but we all get stronger, and we appreciate you
Uh,
saying that awkward, and we
mhm,
appreciate everyone who did show grace. That
mhm,
and that's why
yeah,
me and CJ came on video like, guys, show grace to the people who did make mistakes, and that's why I got love for everyone and for Hampton Leftists, even the people who disagree with me on my vote there, because I have nothing but love and grace for our brothers and sisters, and that's what we have to have for each other as a community. You guys see, there are a lot of people that just focus on. They want to be the most morally righteous leftists in the room. They want to cancel everyone. That is not how you coalition build, and that's how we lose. We got to allow grace. We got to allow people to grow and change, and that's why earlier in the stream, JB addressed something that a lot of people was upset with him about. You guys can rewind. You can check out the beginning of the video if you're watching the replay. But he addressed some comments that he made regarding the Dave Chappelle controversy, and that we did that because we want everyone to know. I'll let JB speak on this, but our thing, we want people to grow and change, and that's what we believe, and we want to have a healing community here. But Zoya, JB, anything you guys want to add to that? I know we went pretty long on that, but I think that was, I
Just
appreciate you
that
saying that awkward.
I really appreciate you guys, and I think it's beautiful the way the entire process unfolded. And we've had our share of
yeah,
disagreements at 10
Yeah,
demands too.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You're all individuals. There's supposed to be healthy debate, and eventually you come together because the cause is the priority. And
yes,
I have enormous love and respect for everybody in Fred Hampton Leftists. I think you guys are incredible people, and that everything that you're doing is just going to help educate and demonstrate how abolition can work. And I just really appreciate everything that you guys do.
Yeah, much
thank
love
you,
to you, Zoya.
thank
You know how you know how I feel about y'all. I love y'all. But thank you for everything, JB. Sorry, thank you for giving us a platform to do this on. But it was
Yeah,
a good conversation. But JB, anything you want to say and plug before we wrap up or anything?
you. Yeah. So, thank you guys for the kind words. Thank you for being examples of restorative justice, because that's something that uh, we look towards having, and you all are just prime examples of how we should be and how we should operate. And I learned so much from all of you. Um, so, as far as anything that was said here, go to 10 demands. Read up on it. If you have doubts, you have resources, and these three beautiful people before you. You can ask them questions, you can pick their brains. And the thing is that ultimately, the site is called 10 Demands for Justice, right? So that's what we're aiming towards. And I think this entire stream is basically geared towards restorative justice, whether you may have committed a transgression or you're forgiving a transgression. See? And so, and we all get to the point where we realize that we all make mistakes. We're all imperfect. And, you know, one of the things that I think is integral to 10 Demands is we're trying to get rid of a system that causes people to have to choose transgression, because that system is nothing but degrades us, and it tears us down and it tears us apart. Just imagine if people actually had the material needs met. Imagine how much better people's mental health would be. Imagine how many people would feel, and being in community with each other. How many more cookouts would happen? My God. I'm sorry, I'm hungry. Let's be real, I'm hungry. But just imagine the camaraderie that we would have with one another. Imagine the community that we would have with one another. So just even though we're talking about all this stuff that happens, on a daily basis, and about how horrible it is, let's also focus on the possibilities, on the positive future if we all come together and fight for this. So it's as good as done if we push for it. That's
And
what it's about.
it starts today. You could do it in your community. It's as simple as knowing your neighbors.
Yeah,
Like mutual aid can happen at any level, and it can be just as simple as creating that connection so that if you need help or they need help, you can call each other and not some cop from another community who's going to come in guns blazing.
exactly.
Yeah, and also, I saw some people asking. I'm a cut. I'm a cut. Sorry, it's been a long stream. I'm gonna cut this part eventually. I'm gonna release the Tender Man video individually, and I put all the I might add the stream too. I'll put the Tender Man website, Awkward, and Zoya Twitter in the description.
Cool.
So I'll probably release that video maybe tomorrow for all you guys are watching. And I do appreciate everyone watching. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. Go to FredHamptonLeftist.com if you guys want to show any support, because we talking about mutual aid, we talking about organizations. I tell you guys, Friend and Leftist is going to be a YouTube channel you guys never seen before. As we grow, we'll have more mutual aid systems running, like Tour for the Poor. Like imagine us at 100K subscribers. Like we're not gonna be people that are just comfortable in the air condition like some other like popular like networks. We're gonna be in the streets, and as we grow and as we get the ability to travel, we're gonna be like doing on the ground reporting. That's something I really want to do. So like we close to 11. We're so close to 11K subscribers. So if you guys want to share it to a friend, that's the only way we grow. And if you think this conversation was important, you don't even have to share it to a leftist. Yeah, you can share it to a shit lib. I promise you, we can flip people. Like I promise you, share it to a conservative shit lib, someone who apolitical, and we can plant some ideas in their head. So that's the only way we can grow is through people power. That's the only way we have got to where we at right now, because we have homies, we have comrades that were sharing our stream. So I hope you guys would do that. I will cut this clip, this interview separately, so you guys can tune in for that for people watching. Any last words? Sorry, we went a little long, but anything else, JB? We got a lot of good content out there stuff. But anything, JB?
Yeah. So I will be trying to start also doing the JB Font show again on my channel, because we need to branch out. And any of you who are also thinking about starting a channel, start it. Just don't think about it. Just start it. You guys got a decent internet
We
connection and
need
a
counters
webcam?
to
Start it.
corporate media. We need counters to corporate media. And
We need y'all to come into this space too.
there are a lot of people who are like anti-podcaster, and I don't agree. I honestly just don't agree. Like people are like, oh, we shouldn't have all these like how else are we going to counter the corporate media narrative? The corporate media kills our movements. We need a counter. That's why I am pro. That's why I started the show. I am pro podcast. I always will be, because if the people who say, "Oh, we shouldn't have podcasts," you are deeply unfair. We need a counter to the corporate media. So start your podcast. Start your YouTube channel. We want to platform anyone who's anti-establishment who want to promote mutual aid. So anyway, sorry, JB, but I want to piggyback on that, because I hear that sentiment a lot on the left. No, we need corporate media counters. And that's another way we can do it. And Awkward has a great YouTube channel, great podcast he does that is all about police abolition. And if we don't have podcasts like Awkward, how are we going to counter the propaganda? That's why. Anyway, I just want to add that, because I think that like anti-podcast rhetoric is hurtful, and I think we need to counter that. So anyway, JB, thank you for hosting this. It was a good stream. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. If that's all going to be for today, be sure to catch us up on. I think, are you doing something Tuesday, Nick?
Yeah, we have International Leftist Coalition panel. I saw Rob will join us, and also we're gonna have Jackson Hinkle. He's gonna join us for the first time on the International Leftist Coalition panel. We do that Tuesday nights because my friend Peter Beaton and Cream Protesters is in China, so it's a late American stream here. But it's an international movement. Like once again, we got police abolition movements we're building, but we're also building international movements. So that's Tuesday, and we plan something for Monday. Anything, James?
Okay. Also, be sure to catch Straight Out of Politics on Wednesday with CJ, and we will also be having the roundtable at 5:30. Remember, we're now at 5:30 on Thursdays, and be sure to watch Sabby Sabs on Friday evenings. Am I forgetting any? Oh, and Facts and Fire on Saturdays with Afeni. And catch Rome when you can. So,
Yeah.
so
Thank
thank you
God.
guys so much for joining me on the JB show. This was a little bit of an extended edition, but I want to wish you all very well, and I'll see y'all in the next one.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.